the most frequently asked questions I get is, do I do my own lawn and garden work? And the answer is yes. I would say over time, historically, I've done 90% of it. Now, certain things get too heavy or too high or just too difficult for me to do myself. But nevertheless, I do 90% of it, unless I'm so busy that I need a little bit of help. But I enjoy doing it, and I even enjoy using power equipment like this. Now, my power equipment category of a brand of choice is Lithium. I have showed you a million times my lithium battery operated blower, and I'll put links to all of this stuff below, you guys. And I also have their long-handled tree pruner, and this will get extensive work this year as I prune out, like there's a dead limb right there, as I prune out those kind of branches that I can't reach with my regular clippers, regular snippers, then this long-handled pruner will work brilliantly. But today I am using their hedge trimmer because I'm going to tackle this euonymus hedge that's been here forever. It was here when we bought the house. Now, would I have planted it? Probably not, but it does make a brilliant camouflage to the tiny bit of chain link fence behind it. Now you can see it is pretty much denuded of all of its leaves. There's very few leaves on it, even though it's typically winter, or it's typically evergreen in the winter. We had a really hard winter, as I've said ad nauseum, but it's definitely not dead and it's coming out. Stuart, can you show just some of the live buds that are still on it? So that tells me it's still alive. And there are more little erupting buds coming out all over it. But this is the time of year that I prune it, and I'm going to prune it whether it's leafless or not, because what I try to do is keep its profile pruned back to approximately where that curb is. That way I can open up the gate easily and it just looks neater, more well kept, and just with a stronger architectural profile. So safety first. So I've got my safety glasses. I don't think I have to have my hard hat. Stuart and I discussed that at great length. Now, one thing about using these kind of tools, while I enjoy using them, I really don't enjoy putting them together or maintaining them. So I leave that to my husband. He does that. It's a happy compromise in our marriage, and hopefully it might work for you too. I don't know. Plus, as he will always tell you, I'm too fastidious to ever let him do that kind of work. So it may not be a good hair day, but if it works, it works. Okay, so basically I am just going to start tackling it, excuse me, by looking at this profile. Okay, right here. And I think I'm going to start on this end. And you can see at the top, it's already a little narrower at the top than it is at the bottom. Again, if I'm not going to get on this with a ladder, so I'll get someone who's just a little bit taller than I to help me with that. So I'm just going to start out, and I'm going to make it a little bit narrower at the top than at the bottom, so I'm going to hold it at a slight angle. Now you can see why you really need to have protective goggles on. This wouldn't be so much of a problem if it were all still green and pliable, but it's not. It's very woody and prickly. I'm going to look at it again. I'm going to do this lower portion. Some of this I probably would have done well to get out with some just regular hand pruners, but this makes a little bit quicker work of it. And again, it's so lightweight that I can do this pretty easily. And you might ask, how do I know how much to cut? You almost can't cut enough because it's such an aggressive grower. Now, I may not get a 10 for form, but nevertheless, I was able to get the job done in pretty much short order. Any of them that are too thick, I'll come back in here with some hand pruners that have a little bit more oomph than this does. And what it does is just, instead of having to prune all of this individually, it just makes pretty quick work of it. So it's one of my favorite kind of hedge trimmers. I never use this on my boxwood, you guys. I use those Barnell hand pruners, long bladed hand pruners on those. But on something like this, I just really don't care if it gets a little bit butchered. So you guys might want to try out these lithely battery operated power tools. I really like them. They are female friendly, I think. And again, I love the fact that it's got an interchangeable battery. So one battery fits all of the products. And now I can clean all of this up using my battery operated lithely blower. Well, now it's time for the cleanup. And I don't know that I normally wear goggles when I do cleanup, but I am now because I've got all of these prickly things here that could possibly be a projectile and get in my eye. Even the smaller things, on kind of a windy day or whatever, sometimes I do wear my goggles when I blow. Now, this is so curious, but I think it's a great point. Stuart's mom is here, Susan, and she was saying, am I a responsible leaf blower? And I think that's important. So what is being a responsible leaf blower or utilizing these kinds of power tools that are quite noisy? Well, number one, you want to do it later in the day. Number two, I don't always use it. A lot of times I use just a regular broom and dustpan. But when I've got a lot of things that I need to clean up, yes, I do use this. Now, one thing that I like about this lithely blower is it has both a regular blower function, and then I can also put it on turbo. I know, Stuart said I look like, what did you say, Stuart, a Jedi or
Star Wars.
A Star Wars something. stormtrooper. But what's nice about that is when, you know how when leaves are wet and they kind of get secured and glued to the surface of your patio or your driveway or whatever, it's hard to remove them, then this turbo feature works really well for that. But when I'm just blowing leaves off of my gravel deck or off of my porch, then the regular function works just fine. Now, another kind of piece of advice about responsible blowing is I'm not going to blow these into the street where they'll go into the sewage system or whatever, but I can blow them kind of into a pile. And my technique, I'm sure you have yours, is that I blow them up against the curb. And then I just kind of blow them into a manageable pile that I can then clean up really easily. So that's a way that you could use the different types of turbo power or not features and functions that are on this Lithely blower. So I really, really like it. It makes cleanup very fast, very easy. And like I said, it has an interchangeable battery with the other tools in the line. So I'll put a link to this one below too. You guys have fun getting your power gear on this weekend.